the Thursday sports edition. Great to be here with you. We will cover multiple sports and who knows how many before the almost full hour is up. Adam Kaufman, Reed T. Fowler, always along for the Thursday edition. And today it's a special treat, at least for me, because I don't get to work with him nearly enough. Geoff Ulrich joins the program. Fellas, how are you?
Geoff, you're the guest.
Not too bad. Could be better. If Dustin Johnson had started 3 over today, but
geez, Dustin Johnson, clown. Do you see Cam Smith too? Clown.
A little bit of a Masters hangover for some of these guys.
Place to start. Let's, Geoff will delve into NHL and a dozen game slate a little bit later on. Maybe we'll mix in a little bit of football as well. NFL, some stuff going on. Nothing too monumental unless you actually believe Deebo Samuel is going to get traded. But yeah, let's pick up where you guys were starting off, and that is, of course, in the wake of the Masters, very exciting tournament that everybody followed very closely last week. We've got the RBC Heritage, and right now, under's the name of the game, boys. And Cam Young, after a disappointment at Augusta, is off to a currently. We'll see if it ends up holding, because Joaquin Niemann is hard on his tail, if you will. He's creeping up on his. On the little footsteps, the pitter patter right behind him. He's 2 strokes back in the lead is really what I'm telling you. And he's got 2 holes left on his day. Whereas our leader, Cam Young, is in the clubhouse at 8 under. Reed, what do you think? I mean, a lot of people had him projected, obviously, to do well in this tournament, but this early, surprise you?
Yeah. I wasn't one of those people who thought Cam Young was going to do well or this well. I don't think anybody projected an 8 under 63 opening round, but that's what Cam Young is such a young talent. And look, we can probably spend a whole nother pod on, the young talent like Cameron Young and what it means to the PGA. And if there's rival golf leagues, if they go after these younger guys, that's a better business model than what they're currently doing. But, focusing on this tournament alone, this guy was bogey free. He was, 5-6 feet on every approach shot. We know he hits it a mile. So when you do that and you gain across the board and you gain substantially, that's what's going to happen. Joaquin Niemann now, he's 6 under. But you failed to mention there, Geoff, that he had 2 bogeys in his first 3 or 4 holes.
Right.
So if this guy was just bogey free, he'd be right there at 8 under with a couple to go. And that's how good Joaquin Niemann has been as well this year. And I'm sure there's part of him, not entirely, who's watching Scottie Scheffler and saying, that's supposed to be me. Joaquin Niemann is a young talent and he's won early in his career. And I bet he's looking at that just a little bit, not a lot, and saying that needs to be me. I need to pick up my game because these young guys, and I'm included in one of those, are doing really well. So Niemann, and he's a talented golfer. So Niemann is where I thought he'd be at 6 under. The other guys too, there's a bunch at 2 under. Jeff's boy, Dustin Johnson, going 15 over in his first 5 holes. Really weird with the driver, but I'll let Geoff talk about DJ and what he's doing.
Well, Geoff, before we go to DJ, though, just more on Joaquin Niemann. Even though he is not in the lead currently, he is on the DraftKings Sportsbook, the odds-on favorite to win this thing as things stand. And of course, it fluctuates constantly. It'll move around tomorrow as well. But plus 750, just narrowly in front of Cam Young at plus 800. Then you have Patrick Cantlay had a really good day one, plus 850, plus 900 for Shane Lowry. And then you start to get into plus 1,000 and higher. But Niemann is, I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not looking to place a bet today on the winner. And if you were, it would be someone with longer odds, not somebody who's right there at the top of the board. But what do you think of what Niemann's done?
Yeah, if Niemann, again, getting Niemann at plus, 3,000 or better, he was right on my short list this week. And if I had one more name to add, it very likely could have been him. But, we mentioned that's where you should have been starting betting cards, because A, there was a lot of talent in there, and B, this course just brings in a lot of players like that. And Niemann has developed into just, he should be mentioned with Cam Smith and Scottie Scheffler. Maybe not so much Scottie Scheffler, because Scottie Scheffler's put himself in a completely different tier of anyone lately, but definitely with Cam Smith. If Joaquin Niemann picks up his 2nd win in 4 months right now, I won't be shocked. He is that good, Reed mentioned. So the short game has gotten better. Even you just look today, Cam Young is kind of just hitting it to 5 feet every hole. Niemann is gaining strokes around the green and putting. So he's kind of got the all around game flowing right now. It's pretty impressive. He's really good. This isn't the type of event where you want to go betting the leaders, though. We actually see a lot of like final round leaders, like third round leaders kind of fail to convert here a lot too. So that's another trend for this tournament. But will I be shocked if Niemann ends up there? I really won't, because that's how good he is. And I almost expect him to win again this year at this point.
Well, Geoff, you're sorry to cut you off there, Koff, but your boy, the last set we talked about it yesterday, Chris Kirk was that guy, right? In that plus 65. And my concern, and look, it can completely change. Kirk could go out and shoot 62 tomorrow very easily. Guy lost close to 4 strokes on the greens.
Yeah.
And that's what this place can do. It's infuriating. And this was my concern and my fear with Adam Svensson, who's at 2 under currently, is that these greens can eat you up. And that's what they did to Chris Kirk. And he's an amazing ball striker. I mean, greens in reg and fairways in reg, it was fantastic. He was close to 80% on both, but he just couldn't make any putts.
Obviously, we were talking about this before the show. For people that have your DFS lineups, you're starting to think a little bit ahead to what things are going to look like going into the weekend. It's top 65 and ties will end up making the cut, but we still have a full round and change to go for some of these guys before we end up getting to that point. And Reed mentioned it, Geoff, Dustin Johnson, your guy, slow start. Obviously he's sitting right at T91, but he's not quite done with his day. He can get himself, well up the leaderboard because he's only 1 over at the moment. He has 2 holes left on this afternoon, or evening, whatever, however we want to term this. What do you think of what he's done so far?
I think he's all over the place, man. I mean, I think you just never know with Dustin, with these second tier events. Are you just going to get like prime Dustin where he just comes in and he shoots like 20 under and, it's just like an easy breezy victory. It's almost like this guy's automatic. Or are you going to get this where, he doesn't seem that focused. He probably is like, just, doesn't seem to care, because Dustin always looks like he doesn't care. But when he's playing well, you're just like, well, that's just how good he is. But when he's playing like this, it's like, well, the dude just has checked out. And, people will point to this is the sponsors. The reason Dustin plays this event these last few years, because it's a sponsor thing. But we have seen him play well on shorter technical tracks too. So, like, I think that he could easily have a lot of success here. And I mean, he was a final round leader here like 2 years ago. So it's just one of those days. I just don't think Dustin is back to, he has been showing better signs, but it really he hasn't shown the full gamut of ball striking that he has in the past. The driver is all over the place. Mm-hmm. The approaches are kind of all over the place too. Like he can still flash with it, but the consistency just isn't there with him. And I would kind of wait until we see it to really get behind him. Unfortunately, I did get behind him, for a little bit, but his game just isn't quite at the top level that it's at right now. And it's pretty evident.
Does it surprise you at all, Reed? And, course can come into play, obviously, and weather and any number of different things, obviously, but with round 1 almost completely in the books for everybody, we're not quite there, but almost there. Top of the leaderboard, or the top chunk of the leaderboard, if you're thinking about this from a DFS perspective, is, it's largely the value guys. Value guys are mid-tier guys anyway. It's, it's not the studs. Any particular reason for that?
Well, I think to Geoff's point too, is that, you take a look at some of the top guys, there were some concerns coming in, just a touch, right? Not a lot, but DJ, he was talking about his driver he wasn't trusting his driver at Augusta. That's how we saw him hit a lot of 3-woods off the tee. And now that's kind of rearing its ugly head a little bit. And look, this is a tournament that a lot of guys, of the 132 that are in the field, there's, I'd say 115 of them really think they can win. And they have. Like Brian Gay won this tournament years ago by 10. Right. You see Stuart Sink has won this 3 times. This Webb Simpson has won this, Satoshi Kodaira. I mean, these are the type of winners. And so when you come into this, the Kevin Kisners of the world, Kevin Na, the Mito Pereiras, 4 of the last 6 winners have been first-time winners on tour. This is a place where if you're able to get the ball, the plotter's course, you hit fairways and greens and you make your putts, the sort of catch-all type of phrase or comment that these guys give to the media, then you're going to play well. Like, and you don't need distance at all. You're not going to need any sort of specialization at this course. If everything is going to plan, you're going to be at the top. And that's why it was prudent to go mid, like Geoff was talking about, if you're going in the outrights, starting at the 3,500, But even going, maybe more stars and scrubs, maybe a little hybrid of balance and scrubs. Because if you take a look at 2021 and 2019, 18, you look at those guys who were top 6 in DraftKings scoring, the majority of them were under $7,500 or under $8,000. A lot of them were under $7,000. And when you get that, it really opens up the entire board.
Does it just kind of thinking back to the Masters, and Scottie Scheffler obviously is the number 1 golfer in the world. He's been red hot. He doesn't fit this category other than in this way. As that weekend was moving along, you get to Sunday. I know he had a big lead, but there were a lot of people out there, guys, that were kind of just waiting for him to crumble, because he's Scottie Scheffler. He's not, Tiger Woods, if we're talking about a healthy prime Tiger Woods, at that stage where it's like he's up there, he's got the lead, he's going to hang, there's no pressure, he's just going to run away. Whenever it's these guys that haven't really been in that spot before, we're just sort of waiting for that Sunday back 9 collapse. When it's guys like, and just to throw out some names like Young, Pereira, who obviously you mentioned, you could look at Straka or McCarthy or Kazire, Gay, Ramey, guys like that are, near the top of the leaderboard right now. Does it give you more confidence because none of these are like the prototypical guys that we always talk about, Geoff, that you just can't really be confident in their positioning right now?
Yeah, that's why I think we see a lot of like late round collapses here, because it's just like there's a variety of different people getting in the mix, right? And it's also the week after a major. This event sees weird leaderboards for a variety of reasons, and I think that the week after the major thing is just a big deal. There's just everyone's minds are in different places, and then you add in like one of the more technical, quirky tracks, and it just weird things tend to happen. Like guys get hot with the putters, some guys get really frustrated on the greens, and you get just like a weird kind of conglomeration of names. That's what we have again. I mean, we got like McDowell, and then you have Neiman and Connors and Young, some like fantastic ball strikers. Then you've got like McDowell, like you said, Denny McCarthy's up there too. Like Scott Piercy's up there. So it's just, it always ends up being this weird mix. And that's kind of what makes it a funner event. But honestly, from DFS, I find this one of the most frustrating events of the season because, and I said it before, like I said it on Wednesday, it feels like there's so many people who could win here. And it's true, there is, but that also makes it frustrating because you can put together 6 guys who on Wednesday, it's like, man, all these guys have a chance. And then they're just like all +1 because it's just the nature of the track. If you're not sinking your birdie chances or you're just struggling, you miss a few extra greens, like you're just not going to be up there on the leaderboard. Like Cam Young is just hitting every green. So
you've talked obviously, and this for both of you, but Geoff, I'll let you go first here. You guys have, you've been on the Sweat all week or on the Slate all week. You've talked enough about this tournament and sort of the Masters hangover, as you alluded to, and just looking ahead to expectations. So we've got it all on tape. No need to lie based on performances right now. Who did you really like going into this thing, and have they, found their way to where you thought they would be, or have you been disappointed?
Just in terms of like who's performing and who's not,
mean,
or
yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, it's a mixed bag. I mean, but I think that's what you get. I'd like Patrick Cantlay. I wasn't really expecting much from this week, but I'm kind of surprised he's up there. And then Dustin Johnson, I thought might take a step forward here, and he's not. So, there's lots of examples. Reed mentioned Kirk. Kirk struck it well, but didn't sink his putts. That's pretty disappointing. But there's other examples too. Like Neiman is a dude who's, looks like he's taking a step up in performance. I mean, Henley's -3. Like he's a guy who's been top 10 here numerous times. So I don't know. It's probably more on the top guys have definitely started on the disappointing side. Like if you're going to get on players, if we're talking about odds, and we should be, I mean, I actually think there's a lot of opportunity because a lot of these players are like even and +1. Like we all like them. Like a lot of people like Daniel Berger this week. There's no reason Daniel Berger can't come out and shoot -7 tomorrow, or someone like that. So, and we see it happen a lot at this event. It is a good event to like take deeper odds on someone in play. And I think you'll see some of these names, Justin Thomas is there too. He's another slow starter. So definitely like a disappointing first round. But again, you got that Masters hangover, man. A lot of these guys are probably going to shake it off tomorrow, and you're probably going to see a lot of movement. You're going to see a lot of movement through 4 days, just because we always do with this event.
Berger is Reed sitting at, let's see, I had it in front of me a second ago.
He's at even.
No, but I was looking at his odds on the DraftKings Sportsbook to I think it was plus 13,000 to win the event, which obviously, he's a ways back right now. Yeah, there he is.
He's plus
15,000 now. He was
15,000.
13.
I mean, like,
Plus
he's
800
eight,
to win.
like he's eight
That's
back, but I mean, it's Cameron Young, and again, he cuts it in half tomorrow. If you're within 3 or 4 strokes here going into the final round, you're live. I mean, we have seen numerous winners at this event come back from 4 strokes in the final round. So I think it's all about opportunity. You got to kind of suck it up with some of these guys. They started horribly, but there is opportunity, I think, in taking guys like, even 8 shots back right now.
So Reed, who are some of those long shot guys that stand out to you through round 1?
Well, yeah, I mean, JT is definitely one that you want to highlight just because of we've seen this before. We saw the Masters. I mean, at the Masters, he did sort of kind of the same thing. It was even worse, right? He shot 4 over in round 1, and he came back in round 2, and he absolutely lit it up. And I think he finished top 5, top 10, not top 5, but top 10 at Augusta, if I'm not mistaken, or close if it's not top 10. He's definitely someone that you could see doing that. And look, Berger, he lost in his short game today. Like he could not find same with Kisner. Kevin Kisner could not, and he was burning every single edge with his putts. That's not, if those guys are so good with their putting that they could maybe switch something and maybe instead of trying to do too much line, I'm going to play a little more aggressive and go inside the cup, or maybe be more aggressive on my line. And then those putts start to fall. Right. That's what you want to find. We always say that. And so you don't necessarily have to go that deep to find someone, but that's where you want to start. Right. Is the Bergers and the JTs of the world where everybody was like, oh, okay, those guys are good. Let me chase them. They didn't really perform. Like the lead progressions of what we've seen over the last 2 years in terms of the score. Last year was 8 under, then 16 under, then 18, then 19. Right. So that's kind of where you if you're trying to use a benchmark of where the score is going to be, that's probably where it's going to be. So if you want to use that, maybe guys that even par, like Geoff was talking about, if they can shoot 7 under tomorrow, they'll be within 5 or 6 strokes of the lead. And that's not bad after 2 days.
Anything else you guys want to add on golf before we move into something different?
Webb Simpson, 5 straight birdies to end the day. He was playing god awful. And then he hit some sort of whatever it was. And now he's at 2 under. So all the people who, like myself, who were big on Webb Simpson were, ready to send out angry tweets, Geoff, but I deleted the drafts.
And Geoff?
He hit the God mode. Yeah, no, again, I mean, I just think that, especially for betting, you should start looking at guys at like -3 or between that -3 and even range and sprinkle bet. I'm a little bit worried that, Neiman just gets on a roll again and kind of does what Sink did last year. But traditionally this event, it's been hard to do it for 4 rounds. Like I remember the year DJ came in here and everyone was like, oh, he's going to win going away. And he just blew up in the final round. It is a tough event to close out. If your putts start to miss here, you can get frustrated really easily on this track. So probably a good event to fade the front runners here.
All right. What I want to ask both of you, and then Reed will let you go, and Geoff and I will focus on hockey the rest of the way. We've got the show another 10, 12 minutes or so. I mentioned it earlier, Deebo Samuel. It really kind of surprised me, honestly. I mean, there's been so much movement around the NFL in terms of star players this offseason, whether it's at the quarterback position or a guy like Devontae Adams, the list goes on, obviously, but I was not personally expecting Deebo Samuel to be anywhere near that conversation. And maybe it's sort of a pointless one for us, but because I really don't see him moving. But that being said, there is speculation, Reed, that Deebo entering the final year of his rookie contract could be on the move, that San Francisco is at least maybe not actively shopping him, but certainly listening to legitimate offers for him, with undoubtedly a huge payday coming his way. But what do you think the ultimate outcome is here?
Well, I mean, he's going to want big money, right? And because he can play 2 positions, he really has the ability to say, hey, give me the most money that a wide receiver. And now look, all the wide receiver contracts, right? They're massive in terms of what they were. Like running backs don't get as much. So he's going to want to, stay as a wide receiver, but say, I can do that. I think the 49ers have to address, they have to listen to calls, right? I think it'd be fantastic if you find Deebo Samuel on a team like the Colts, who need that type of player. Maybe the Ravens, who've been in search, right, for a wide receiver for a very, very long time. But if you're San Francisco, you got to do as much as you can to keep this guy, especially if Trey Lance is going to be your starter. You need those cornerstones in your offense to keep the continuity going. So I don't think it's wild to think that a guy like Deebo Samuel's on the trade market, or even if it's just rumors, right? You got to do it. You got to do your due diligence.
What do you think, Geoff?
Yeah, I mean, this has been the trend. Like, I mean, I don't know how paying these wide receivers is going to work out for these teams in the long term. It is a lot of money to allocate to the wide receiver position. Like, just look at this draft. I've been going over the draft the last couple of days. There's wide receivers everywhere, man. Like, the next Deebo Samuel is in there. The next, Devontae Adams is probably in there too. Teams that allocating this huge contracts, I mean, it's really going to hamstring them. So I think I honestly think that San Francisco may end up moving this guy. Yeah. It really does look like it. I mean, at the same time, like, San Francisco is also hamstrung themselves because they haven't moved Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think they can do both. I don't think they can keep Garoppolo and then pay Deebo Samuel. If they're somehow able to move Garoppolo, sure, maybe they'll sign him. But with him like deleting the social media and stuff, it's so weird. But like, this day and age, that is like, it's like the move. It's like, hey, like, this is where we're at in the contract negotiations. It's kind of over. So I love Deebo Samuel. I think that he is in the perfect spot. I don't know if there's going to be another team that's going to be able to utilize him properly, because no other team has Kyle Shanahan. I guess he could have gone to the Dolphins, but that ship has sailed.
Maybe the Falcons.
I mean, he could go there, but like, is he going to get utilized the same? I don't know.
What they did with Cordell Patterson.
Yeah, true.
I mean, they unlocked Cordero.
It's a copycat league, right? So I guess, teams will probably try and do the same thing, but I definitely, it's going to be an interesting little scene here, because there's still teams with some cap space. And
the smartest. Go ahead, Geoff. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, at this point in the NFL offseason, I don't think you can be shocked if Deebo Samuel gets traded. We've just seen too many big moves.
Right. The move that makes the most sense, which would never happen, is to Seattle. Right.
Oh, yeah.
DK Metcalf.
That'll never happen. No way.
It'll never happen. But Seattle would need, like, let's say they want to move on DK Metcalf, and it'd be the same thing, right? It'd be robbing Peter to pay Paul, because you're getting into a big contract with a wide receiver, but then you get a wide receiver and a quarterback, which is what you need. But it'll never happen, especially to Seattle.
And like, let's not forget, I mean, San Francisco has Brandon Ayuk. Like, they have some young talent already there, and they can just go out and draft another wide receiver. So I'm sure that Kyle Shanahan doesn't want to lose Deebo Samuel, but man, again, like, paying a wide receiver that much money, it's just really hamstrings your team.
He was utilized a ton last year. They're probably thinking of this as, hey, this guy might be, deteriorating just a touch.
Yeah, and look, that was his first full season. Like, Deebo Samuel's been in the league for like, what, 3-4 years? I can't even remember, but that's the first time he's like played. He still missed a game or two. So again, man, these teams giving a lot to wide receivers. Like, I get it, they're great players, but I look at the draft and it's just like, why?
The Raiders, we'll take them. Come on over.
You guys have
Adams.
made your bed. I like that. You know what though? I like the Raiders. I like the Raiders paying Devontae Adams more, because Devontae Adams has been more durable, and he's, what you're getting. Like, yeah, Deebo Samuel is a great all around player, but like, if you're going to be behind a lot, like, how many run plays are you going to do with Deebo Samuel? Like, I think Devontae Adams has a little bit more value. He's a little bit more trustworthy. So I'd rather pay someone like that. Deebo's unique. He's fantastic, but there's way more chance he gets banged up, and this is not going to get value.
Yeah, this is a classic case too of, we perceive his value as a fantasy asset way higher than he actually is perceived by NFL teams. Mm-hmm. He was used as a running back out of necessity. Let's remember that, because that running back room was absolutely, dismantled by injuries, underperformers, and so he was used in the running back position out of necessity. Teams don't want to do that. These coaches are so in their own head and their own schemes. They don't want to actually have to do that. They want to put Deebo Samuel in a scheme where this is where you do it, right? You're a slot receiver. You're a possession guy. They don't want to be using, like, that's why we only have one Cordell Patterson, right? Like, so that's something that we have to also keep in mind too, is that his fantasy value and our perception of him is through a fantasy lens. But most teams and coaches don't want to use him like that.
Reed, we'll let you duck out a couple minutes early anyway, not as early as we told you, but that's okay.
Well, I
We're
can talk
talking
hockey.
golf and football and whatever else. I mean,
I can talk a little ice hockey. You know,
you
grew up in
want to stay in and offer your puck thoughts. You're welcome.
Well,
to do so,
I'm always going to go with the Ducks +1.5. I mean, if movies were made about you, then you got to go there. So
on a nightly basis,
right? And why not the Bruins? Let's go with the Bruins.
Why not the Bruins?
-1.5. That is egregious. They should be -3.5 value.
I wish. Still no David Pasternak or Hampus Lindholm. They've lost 3 out of 4. It's not a good situation there in Boston with the playoffs right around the corner.
The Sens are a little scrappy too. I don't know.
They are scrappy.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me. That's my last piece of advice. Don't listen to me about hockey.
We love you, Reed.
All right, guys. Peace.
All right. We'll see you, buddy. Geoff, what do we think of tonight's 12 gamer? We can, we've got, 5-7 minutes. So we can look at this from obviously a sportsbook perspective, but also DFS for anyone diving into that as well. But sportsbook first, what jumps out at you?
So, let's start with Boston. I mean, it is an interesting situation. Like if Boston was, like you said, a little bit full strength, a little bit healthier, I don't think the -105 is egregious. They're 13-1 straight up in their last 14 games against Ottawa. Like they're 5-0 straight up in their last 5 games playing Ottawa at home. Like they've dominated them, right? But Ottawa's scrappy. I really don't hate it. I guess on the puck line, I think Boston still with just what they have is probably going to be fine, but it's not my favorite bet. I just thought it was interesting because we brought it up, and then I just looking at the trends quickly, and Boston has just dominates Ottawa. So I wouldn't hate it, but it's such a big slate. I mean, we could go anywhere. There's a lot of kind of favorites that I don't see a ton of value with taking a lot of the favorites tonight. I mean, I know I was going through the slate earlier. I don't mind the Oilers at +100. They were actually -105 earlier, so the line's actually moved in their favor, out to the Predators' favor. Mm-hmm. The Oilers have dominated the Predators. They're 5-0 against the Predators in their last 5 meetings as well, straight up. The Oilers obviously they were coming off that bad loss to the Wild, but they had just played the Avalanche, and it was like a tight, they got 50 shots on that. They lost in overtime, so it was kind of deflating. And then to come in and just play the Wild right after, I just think that you got to give them a pass there. I would take the Oilers there at plus money. The Preds are 500 in their last 10 games. They really haven't been playing that well. So I think the Oilers actually plus 100, one of the better values out there tonight. And I'm kind of interested in the Capitals, who are now at plus 155. They're plus 140 to start. Caps have won 4 in a row. They've averaged 5.7 goals over the last 4 games too. Maple Leafs goaltending situation, man. You should not be scared to take underdogs against the Leafs, because that can just blow up any night for them.
Well, so that's the game actually I was going to bring you to. So I'm glad you brought it up. The line everywhere is 1.5 tonight, and that's obviously not uncommon. A lot of the time I like to refer to it as, the NHL standard. We get the 5.5 goal total. This game right here, 7. You talked about how good Washington's been of late, averaging practically 6 goals by itself. Obviously, I don't think that's going to hold up tonight. Maybe I'll be wrong. It's not like it's completely uncommon for a team to explode that way, but 7. I mean, are you tempted to go over?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, again, you look at what Jack Campbell has done. He's last time I checked, he was in net tonight. He's allowed 3 or more goals in 8 of his last 9 starts. The Toronto Maple Leafs goaltending is it's a nightly, what are you going to get? Maybe you'll get a decent performance. You're probably not going to get a shutout or anything, but there's a big opportunity for them to allow 5 or 6 goals every night. Now they're facing the Capitals. Ovechkin goals in 4 straight. John Carlson. The Capitals are have sneakily got healthy, and they're a veteran team. They know the playoffs are coming up. So I don't expect Washington to take the pedal off the metal. I mean, the Maple Leafs will get their goals. They could still easily win a 5-4 game or something, but I think the Caps are going to put up some goals tonight. Actually, probably one of my favorite bets tonight is just to go over on the Capitals goal total, over 3.5. If you don't want to fade the Leafs outright, that's fine. But I think that going plus 160 to get the Capitals to go over 3.5 goals. And you can do that under team props. If you go under that game, you can get that. I think that's a great line. Plus 160. Those are big enough odds. Like I said, they're averaging over 5 goals over the last 4 games, and they're taking on a team with the weak goaltender. Yeah, let's keep riding the wave here with Washington, I think.
Looking at DFS, because we only have a couple minutes left here, and ownership, this shouldn't shock anybody. Nate McKinnon, after what he did the other night, is right there at the top. What was that, last night that he had the 5 points, 3 goals, the 9 goals for Colorado? I think it was last night.
Yeah.
So he's looking at some of the projections that I'm looking at. He's projected to be owned in damn near 30% of lineups tonight. Far and away the favorite. You got also from that same game, Mikko Rantanen is going to be in 20+% of lineups as well. You got some Boston guys, Bergeron, Marchand, Vancouver guys, a whole bunch of them that are in here between Garland, Horvat, Pedersen, Miller, Hughes, all expected to be very popular tonight as well. Where to you are the best studs? Like Austin Matthews, with what he's done, what feels like for an eternity, but certainly over the last couple of weeks, still in kind of a value position at that salary at 9,500, even though he's the most expensive guy. It's just the production has been so good that he's felt like a must roster. Is he a guy that you want to get in there with some combination of these other studs, or are you looking elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could even see Austin Matthews potentially, he's not going to be like 5% owned, but he could potentially be, get good leverage off of, if you're going to, go off of the Colorado offense. I think that the real play is to go with the Oilers, like McDavid or something. Although I say that, but McDavid's only $100, more expensive than McKinnon. So players might just naturally pivot there, but, I think you'll see like slightly spread ownership on Matthews and McDavid. I know one spot I really like, and that's using the Carolina top line, the top duo of Svechnikov and Sebastian Aho. They've been really good lately. You could add in Seth Jarvis there as well, 3,300. Mm-hmm. I think he's 3,300. He's like 3,100 or 3,300, but he's been really good. He's playing with them at even strength, but like Svechnikov and Aho, they're going up against like the weakest penalty kill in the league. I mean, the Red Wings are terrible. Like they just allow a ton of goals. And I know like there's good matchups for McKinnon on the board as well. But I think if you're looking for like a value duo to go up front, I mean, certainly you can go with, you can start lineups with like a McDavid and maybe fade the Colorado first line. I don't think you have to do that, but I would definitely start. I like starting with the Carolina top unit there, at least those two guys, because I think that, just with the value that you're getting with them under 7K, it still lets you fit in one of the studs. So yeah, that I really like Carolina from a DFS perspective tonight. I just think that, stacking their power play or first line, it's a good way to start lineups.
All right, my man, we're being told that we're out of time, that we have to go. I'd rather ask you more NHL questions, get into value and all that good stuff. But the problem is, there's Sims on the way, and the people want to invest in those and watch some fake simulated football, as you and I did so many hours together for over. Well, all right, I apologize. The football's fake. The drama's real, Geoff. That's what it's all about. Right. We love it. We do. We love all of it. Thanks to our guy, AC, our technical director, Eamon, our producer, Reed T. Fowler, joining us earlier. P. Fry was around earlier. I just want to shout him out because I never see him anymore. Jeff Ulrich, Adam Kaufman, the Slate comes your way after the 4:00 Madden Sim, right around 5:15 Eastern time, Monday through Friday. That means the show will return tomorrow. A look at baseball. There's going to be a lot of it with Bukes and LaMarca, so make sure you tune in for that. And of course, the Sweat comes your way 11:00 Eastern, Monday through Friday. Moose, pleasure, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good evening, everybody.
Bye-bye.